Bigfoot, the best-known four-wheeling machine in motorsports history, with the sport's first professional monster truck driver, Jim Kramer, at the wheel. Rob Morris, the driver voted Rookie of the Year in last season's competition in the four-wheel Crazy Ford. How will he stack up against the legend?
At the State Fair Arena in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. Stay tuned for some bone-crushing monster truck competition featuring the superstars of the sport, Bigfoot, Equalizer, Carolina Crusher, and many more.
Welcome, everybody, to the Centrum in Worcester, Massachusetts. I'm Brett Kepner, and this is the toughest machine in super modified mud racing today. Coming up, three-time world champion Tom Martin and the Super Trooper takes on the toughest in the business in the ultimate mud racing shootout.
Welcome to the 1991 Monster Truck Challenge Series. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Oklahoma State Fairgrounds Arena in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. This particular course may look initially to be one of the most confusing you'll ever see, but once we get into actual competition, you'll see that it may well be one of the more exciting forms of monster truck racing. Over one set of crush cars, then back down onto a flat, hard left-hand turn. Now straightening it out and hitting a second set of crush cars, then straightening the machine out to take another straight course run towards another hard left. Now the finish line located right in the center of the crush cars. Holbrook lands it and sets the pace here in qualifying at 20.20 seconds. It's Ron Dennis, the Arizona driver of John Morris, Tennessee-based No Problem Ford Bronco. And a very aggressive launch for Ron Dennis. That's not like him. Cutting the turns as tight as he can. He lines it up for the second straight. And this guy is definitely using up some air. Around the bend one last time, now taking it a little more conservative as the first two hits were definitely off the ground. Losing out the lead by 0.8 of a second. Here's a beautiful new piece of equipment in its first ever U.S. Hobbit Association Camel World Championship Series event. Don Van Loo's Bad Medicine. Beautiful launch. Wow, radical landing on the very first hit, and it takes Van Loo just a second to get it straightened out before making the turn and now heading up for the second hit. Still a big airborne lead, but a little bit more conservative than that initial hit. Van Loo brings the Chrysler product around the last turn. And with stagger steer in effect, gets a wild sideways launch and lands with a 21.21 second elapsed time. Not bad for the Chrysler campaigner. Here's the driver voted Rookie of the Year in the 1990 U.S. Hobbit Association Camel Tour. This is Fort Worth, Texas's Rob Morris. The four-wheel Crazy Ford Ranger King Cab machine, always a potent entry. Rob Morris, a radical landing there as the rear end dances around, but he saves it and keeps it under power. That was the driving job of qualifying so far. Very smooth effort over the cars on the second straight. Look at this kid take the turns. Morris is hot. Absolutely beautiful driving, and there it is. Gary Porter, the Carolina Crusher Supercharged Chevrolet. That is always one of the toughest opponents at any U.S. Hobbit Association event. Porter, a very conservative launch, keeps it low to the ground. Now let's see how he handles the turns. And Porter oversteers it just a tad, but gets right back on the throttle, keeping it low to the ground so he can apply power over the crush cars. Now into the next hard left. And Porter figures it out that time very nicely. actually getting a little more aggressive on the final flyby. The elapsed time, 21.05 seconds, but coming out, the consummate monster truck driver, the original pro wheelman for Bob Chandler's Bigfoot operation, Jim Kramer. He leaves the starting line incredibly aggressively. Now watch Kramer in the turns. A little bit oversteering, but now very aggressive on the back straight. He lands it and takes it into the last turn immaculately. Look at this guy go! Kramer lands it hard with an elapsed time of 19.18 seconds. Out of the state of Nebraska, the new driver behind the wheel of this gorgeous GM product is Wayne Suzanek. Beautiful straight arrow launch, a little bouncy into the first turn. Suzanek just hangs on as the machine looked like it was going to head almost into the retaining wall. He now picks up the pace and straightens it out. Still, the truck with the bouncing problem completes a run of 27 seconds flat. The Nightlife machine, though, pretty much guaranteed a spot in this field. From St. Louis, Missouri, for the Ford fans, it's Ray Perkowski's gorgeous Invader Ford. Ready to take the green, leaves the line nicely. Keeping it low to the ground, now the supercharged Ford. Plenty of power into the turn, maybe too much. Perkowski manages to keep it relatively straight, but has problems lining the truck up with stagger steer to hit the crush cars completely. However, he keeps at least 2 wheels on the crush machines. That's all that's required. And crosses the finish line actually in pretty good shape. 22.44 seconds for Perkowski's Invader will slide him into the program. So at the end of qualifying, as you can see, a nearly 1 second cushion between the Bigfoot Ford and Texan Rob Morris. We're back at the Oklahoma State Fairgrounds Arena as we get ready for round 1 of eliminations. The first pair up, Bigfoot, the #1 qualifier against this man, Gary Porter's Carolina Crusher Chevrolet, the #5 qualifier in this field. They leave the line, and it looks like the Carolina Crusher may have had the advantage on the first half straight. Now, look at Kramer make the turn. Unbelievable ability. And he picks up a truck length advantage at the halfway mark. Into the turns for the last time. Porter goes wide, and it will cost him the race. You can see Kramer carrying it beautifully across the start-finish line. A wild form of racing, but extremely competitive either way. That will bring up Ray Perkowski's Invader, taking on the Kid. 19-year-old Tennessee campaigner Greg Holbrook in the Equalizer GMC. Both machines bouncing violently after their first landings, but Holbrook makes the turn perfectly. And problems for Perkowski as he goes wide and comes in tight. All really the Equalizer has to do is follow the Ford around the course to pick up this victory. While this particular type of racing equalizes, no pun intended, the racing despite high horsepower or low horsepower trucks, one thing's for sure, if you make a mistake, you're history. Perkowski completes the course, but he knows he's out of it. And Holbrook takes the Equalizer GMC into the semifinals. The next pair pulling to the line will include newcomer Wayne Suzanek in the Nightlife Chevrolet up against Ron Dennis, the wheel of John Moore's No Problem Ford Bronco. And a massive hole shot to Ron Dennis. A truck length lead in the first half straight. Now he has to handle the turns. And he goes wide and runs into problems. But on the other side of the course, Suzanek has even bigger problems. He went wide in his first turn. Ron Dennis only has to complete the lap to take the win here. Rob Morris in the four-wheel crazy Ford out of Fort Worth, Texas, takes on Don Van Loo's Bad Medicine. Problems for the Bad Medicine machine sideways right off the line. Van Loo somehow manages to straighten it out. Now he takes it into the first turn. Rob Morris already over the second set of crush cars. Van Loo trying to catch him. Unbelievable hit. The Bad Medicine machine lands and drives full throttle into the retaining wall. Absolutely horrific crash. The worst crash we have seen in the 1991 Camel Tour. The paramedics already on the scene. Several drivers, including Gary Porter of the Carolina Crusher, leaning in the driver's window, checking to see Van Loo's condition. What a horrific incident. A completely sideways landing. It appears that Van Loo was actually knocked unconscious and fell onto the throttle, full throttle. Don't say the fans didn't get a front row seat on that one. There he is, coming out of the back window. Unbelievable. He's going to walk away from this. Gary Porter still holding on to Don Van Loo as he is obviously disoriented, but he appears to be reasonably okay. The paramedics will no doubt have to take him in for a checkup. The semifinal round will present some incredible action. And don't forget, we still have one of the wildest super modified mud racing wars yet to come, along with monster truck action. Don't you dare go away. We're at the Centrum in Worcester, Massachusetts, and we are getting ready for the qualifying round for the world's quickest and fastest indoor motorsports machines, the U.S. Hartman Association Super Modified Mud Racers. That will bring up Detroit, Michigan's own Let's Boogie 1927 Ford T-Roadster. On the brakes hard, and he'll stop it in time. And the crowd loves it. Our first official run of the event, and it's a beauty. The next driver, though, coming up is the one everybody is waiting to see. Jeff Acker, the supercharged, fuel-injected 2,000 horsepower Chevy-powered Ford Roadster called Insanity. An incredible run for Acker, trying to stop it. He'll coast to a stop well within the stopping distance requirements. A tremendous run. It looked like one of the best of the year. New England's own wild man of mud racing, Mike Spina. 2,000 horsepower in a four-wheel drive lightweight machine called the Psychotic Beast. Spina all over the place, sideways in the shutdown area and into the retaining wall.
Well, if I had to guess, buddy, I'd say that on that particular run, it didn't look like you had any brakes at all.
No, what happened is I think the master cylinder let go as I hit the brakes as they come across the line. And there was no stopping it at that speed.
You saw that Caterpillar and you started looking for other places to go, didn't you?
Scared a little boy in the front row.
Oh, hey, I'm sorry about scaring you guys.
Well, the fans had a rather unique view of the madman this time around. Folks, make some noise for New Hampshire's own Mike Spina.
And here comes the driver that was the first out of New England ever to make a national impression. This is David Ray, the 1985 U.S. Hartman Association Super Modified World Champion. Incredible run. Ray shuts it off early to stop in time, and look at this. Within 3 feet of a disqualification, but the elapsed time, 1.80 seconds, will qualify him in the field. Well, here's the Mud Patrol car with new driver Paul Schaefer behind the wheel. Schaefer, an ex-dirt track stock car driver. Unbelievable wheel stand. Absolutely incredible launch. Simply the most incredible run we have seen in 1991. But here comes the killer. The three-time and defending world champion in the Camel Mud Racing Tour. This is Indiana's Tom Martin and the new Super Trooper. A great run. He shuts the engine down early, but 1.728 seconds. Another new track record.
That has to tell you something. 172, that is the quickest you have ever gone in your life, and there was more left.
That's right, you know, but we're worried about stopping. I got this car set up to leave hard. We can still back out early, and I think we can win it.
172.8, new track record, and now 0.03 of a second away from the world record. You think you can get it?
Well, I'm going to sure try it. We're going to toast up the bottle a little bit. We'll get a little more in the finals.
Unbelievable. Ladies and gentlemen, your new track record holder and #1 qualifier, Tom Martin, and the Super Trooper.
And here's Ohio's Chad Miller, the always wild Instant T. A supercharged fuel-injected Chevrolet inside an all-fiberglass 1927 Ford Roadster body. The visor comes down and Miller's ready. And Miller shuts the engine down way short of the finish line. Apparently, he anticipated problems stopping in the 80-foot allotted distance, but that certainly was not the case. Here comes New Jersey's Rich Marcini, the naturally wired 1932 Chevy 5-window coupe. A brand new machine for a longtime campaigner in the supermodified ranks for 1991. A nitrous oxide injected big block Chevrolet using fuel injection and methanol fuel. Marcini's machine all over the course. He finally puts it sideways in the shutdown area, but he won't make it into the program. 2.03 seconds. And here's Mark Watrous and the supercharged Ford Thunderbird funny car, sponsored by Rancho Shock Absorbers. It uses Ford power, and it's the second quickest car in the world, a 1.71 second best. Watrous takes down a finish line pole, and he will be disqualified on a 1.82 second run. And that will bring up Bill Bartlett, the moonlighting Ford Bronco that has been in this sport in the New England portion of the country for years. The heavyweight Bronco, not a bad run, but not as quick as it could have been. The elapsed time, 2.19 seconds. Pulling up to the starting line now, the Total Obsession supercharged Chevy-powered Ford Bronco out of the state of New Hampshire. And this machine has proven to be one of the wildest in New England over the last couple of seasons. Best known for some wheel-standing launches. Shuts off right at the finish line. The elapsed time for the Total Obsession Ford Bronco, 2.11 seconds. Tom Martin leads the final four. We still have one of the wildest super-modified mud racing wars yet to come, along with monster truck action. Don't you dare go away. We're back at the Oklahoma State Fairgrounds Arena with an update on driver Don Van Loo's condition. Believe it or not, the track paramedics have released him. They say he has no major or even minor injuries to speak of, although he'll probably be sore in the morning. And keep in mind, the spectators who had front row seats for that incredible impact received no injuries whatsoever. We're in the semifinal round after an unbelievable first-round crash. The excitement, believe it or not, is still up there as the Bigfoot Ford pulls to the starting line, the #1 qualifier, probably the most experienced driver on the tour, against the kid. The 19-year-old driver of Gary Cook's equalizer, young Greg Holbrook. And Holbrook is late and suffers problems. Look at Kramer going into the turn. He's got a huge advantage already. Unbelievable ability. But Bigfoot gets sideways in the air. It doesn't matter. Holbrook got crossed up, heading for the crushed cars. There is no way Kramer will lose this. He has to actually hit the brakes to stay away from the kid. All Holbrook has to do now is complete the course to make it an official semifinal round finish. But right now, Jim Kramer and the Bigfoot Ford looks unbeatable in this form of competition. Young Holbrook doesn't look real thrilled with the situation, but like I said, this course is definitely showing drivers their inabilities and their abilities, for that matter. That'll bring out Ron Dennis in John Moore's no problem Bronco in the other half of the semifinals to take on the 1990 Rookie of the Year in the Camel Monster Truck Series, the Fort Worth, Texas-based four-wheel crazy of Ron Morris. Morris actually getting some practice turns in just on his way to the starting line there. Ron Dennis has already proven his value as a hole shot artist on the starting line. Morris moves up, and the hole shot goes to the no problem team. The advantage over the first half straight. But now problems for the no problem Bronco. A tough break for Dennis, who got sideways and almost went into the wall. There you can see Rob Morris has made up the difference on the other side of the course. They'll take the final turns, but it's going to be all blue forward on this one. Morris takes the win light and goes to the final round. in a showdown with Jim Kramer and the Bigfoot Ford. You can't fault Ron Dennis. He got a beautiful starting line launch and a huge advantage over his opponent. He just couldn't hold it in these extremely difficult turns. So Dennis heads into the pit area a loser. But Rob Morris will start thrashing to prepare the four-wheel crazy machine for the Bigfoot Challenge here in Oklahoma City. In the meantime, we'll be back with more action, including the Super Modified Mud Racing Shootout. Don't go away. Here at the Centrum in Worcester, Massachusetts, we're ready to determine the Super Modified Mud Racing winner. Tony Ferrotti is the first man up with the final four and takes the green with the Let's Boogie Roadster. Unbelievable run, trying to stop, but he goes out of bounds on a 1.644 second run. It would have been the quickest run in history, but he used up way too much stopping distance. Here's Jeff Acker, the number 2 qualifier in the Insanity Roadster. He ran 174 in qualifying. An incredible pass. He's hard on the brakes and stops it within inches of the DQ line. Look at the elapsed time, 1.683 seconds, a new world's record. And that will be nearly impossible to beat for anybody. David Ray, the 85 world champ in the supercharged Ford Ranger. The Midnight Magic machine is next up. It's going to take an incredible run from this machine to remain competitive. He qualified at 1.80 seconds. A great run, hard on the brakes, but he goes out of bounds. A 1.87 second run wouldn't have helped him anyway. That means it's between Jeff Acker's Insanity and this man, the 3-time and defending world champ Tom Martin. He ran 1.72 seconds in qualifying, at the time the second quickest run in history. We now have a new world record of 168. Martin has to reset the record, but a wheel stand and an early shutoff may have hurt him. 175 will give Martin number 2. Unbelievable world record for Jeff Acker. But now we go back to Oklahoma City for the Monster Truck Showdown. The Bigfoot Ford, that qualified number 1 in this field by a huge margin, will take on the number 2 qualifier. And if you notice, it comes down to the 2 drivers who even back in qualifying showed us that they knew how to handle the turns on this ultra-tricky oval course. They leave the line together, and it's even at the first set of crush cars. Into the first turn, they're still even. Kramer really lays it on down the second straight, and now Morris is at a disadvantage in the four-wheel crazy. Look at how much distance Kramer has made up, and Bigfoot earns a 3-truck length advantage at the finish line. Jim Kramer shows why he is considered to be the consummate professional driver. An exceptional job from qualifying to the final round for Bigfoot. The quickest mud racing run in history, 1.68 seconds. That's the one that dreams are made of, buddy.
Yeah, it's pretty too close for me. I don't like it that close, but yeah, I still felt like I left out pretty early.
You did. It was probably an honest 5 feet before the finish line.
Oh, it would have been fun to try to go for that record.
Well, you got it. Like I said, 1.683 beats the Mud Sharks' 1.691. You are the quickest man in the sport.
I love it.
Well, that wraps up all the high-flying monster truck competition for this time. Until next time, I'm Chris Chapman.
Well, certainly Tom Martin has to be worried about Jeff Acker and the incredible Insanity Roadster. A track record, no win. This guy's getting tough. Thanks for being with us here at the Centrum in Worcester, Massachusetts. I'm Brett Kepner. See you next time.